Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Discover Thrawn's origins within the Chiss Ascendancy in the first title in an epic new Star Wars trilogy, beginning with Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy. Written by bestselling author Timothy Zahn and read by Mark Thompson, Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy is on sale now wherever audiobooks are sold.
This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Joining me today for a cup of coffee are two of my hosts from CWK Pour Over, but more than that, they are our good friends, our companions, our laugh tracks through life. Let's bring in first the CWK newsman and your buddy, Tom Gross.
Well, hello, everybody. Great to be here on the big show again. Boy, we've got some fun stuff to talk about tonight, but boy, we've got even a bigger guest to introduce.
That's right. A bigger guest to introduce indeed. 7 years ago, actually more like 7 years and 3 months ago, myself and a young man named Cory Bartholomew Clubb started a podcast called Coffee with Kenobi, and he is back, the co-creator and number one designer on the planet, Mr. Cory Clubb.
Hey, thanks. That was really nice. It was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Indeed it was, sir. So, obviously, everyone knows the Mandalorian Season 2, I would call it a teaser trailer, debuted. And while we did talk about it briefly last week, myself, Holly Fry, and Amira Martin, we didn't really give it a full rundown. And honestly, there's not like there's a lot to talk about. Or is there? In classic CWK pour-over fashion, we have collected, as it were, a top 5 of our favorite moments or things that grabbed us from the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer. So, gentlemen, of course, we all know how this works. We've been doing top 5s on Prover for a very long time to great acclaim. But before we sort of jump right into it, Cory, how do you like what I've done with the place?
It looks nice. You kept it good. I see that you polished all the things there. I'm excited to be part of the show again. It's fun to always come on and be a guest star. And, of course, talking to Mandalorian, that's where it's at, right there.
It's true. And don't you like that most people are guest hosts, but Cory is a guest star? He requested special M&Ms that were all Mandalorian color, Beskar, and he's worth it. He's worth it.
Wow.
Yes.
I just knew I was worth it.
Affirmation's a good thing. All right. Well, Cory, we're going to start with you, buddy. I guess we can go sort of, do you want to do like 5 to 1, or are they all kind of the same level in your heart?
Yeah, they'll be definitely interchangeable for me.
Yeah.
Nothing that was like blowing away. Like I was like, wow, that's incredible. You know,
Me too.
That really tops the list. There are some things for certain reasons I think I would trump other ones, but certainly I would think that, these could be back and forth.
Yes. Well, go ahead and hit us with the first one you have on your list.
Absolutely. So number 5 for me are the new places we see. Some of the things that I noticed that was kind of like a shipyard of sorts. They were in the snow. They were in the desert. It's cool to see new places. I know it's always unique because you always try to match up in your head. Oh, that might be this place, or that might be that place, and in Star Wars lore. And we went to a lot of cool places in Season 1, and I think it's cool to see the callbacks. I'm excited to see the new places. And what that brings, what kind of a host of different aliens or characters or revisiting new places or some places, I guess, is really intriguing to me. I know that the team, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, have really got tricks up their sleeves, I think. I think they know what they're doing by now, and definitely going to give us some cool places to visit.
Very, and of course, there's been all kinds of conversation and curiosity about what those places might be, but we will certainly find that out. Tom, how about you, buddy? What is the first one you have on your list? And are they also interchangeable as well?
Yeah, I just sort of wrote things down as I thought of them. I didn't really rank them necessarily most interesting to least interesting. But the one thing I will say is my number 5 also connects with Cory's in that he's looking forward to the new places. Mine was the connection to the familiar. Seeing Aqualish and of course the Tusken Raider on the Bantha. I mean, that was great. And of course, there's the speculation of what planet is that, but I'm sure that Tusken Raiders can be just about any place, I think. But I liked that. And then of course, I think when I watched this the first time, anytime you see an X-Wing show up in one of these stories, it just gives you goosebumps and just it's such a cool thing. So I like the connections to the things that I know, maybe not necessarily from the story of the Mandalorian, but from the Star Wars universe. Some of the guys he fought, the Gamorrean guards going at it, we know what those creatures are all about. And so it helped me to have that connection.
Yes, I agree. There's something wonderful that this thing does, where it brings in the old and the new and combines them, which leads to my first one, which is how they succinctly recapped Season 1 without really doing much exposition at all. You got the armorer speaking. It's the dialogue from the end of Season 1, the 8th episode, that is intermixed between some new footage and some new music that's very haunting, kind of this throaty, very tribal sound to it. But I love that there's a recap of what he's supposed to do, where he's supposed to go. He's supposed to take this child, of the One Horn, and he's supposed to go return it to its people. But there are these enemy wizards known as Jedi. And I'm just saying it was a brilliant way to sort of explain where we have come and where we're going to go without really saying much of anything. I think that's really good storytelling.
Yeah, I second that. I know it's interesting to see because everybody's pining for what's going to happen next. Who's what? Where's what? Knowing from Season 1, it was a whole new landscape, I think, for this series. And this just builds the anticipation even more. Like you said, Dan, I think it's a great way to recap the last season, but also not give us a whole lot. There's a lot of mystery surrounding this. So very cool.
I agree.
In fact, in language, you're right. That didn't really dawn on me until you just said that really this trailer is less a look to the future, like look to the Season 2. It's more a review of. It's like giving us a month advance review. Hey guys, you don't really have to watch the last season. You can if you want to. We'd love you to, but we've got it here for you in a minute and 30 seconds. Go. Yeah, I didn't even really think of that. They just give us some eye candy teaser, but the whole audio basically is the review. Nice. I like that.
Oh, thank you. It encapsulates it really, really perfectly. So how about Cory, your second one?
Yeah, so for me, the Gamorrean Guard, I guess I always say Gamorrean Guard is because it rolls off the tongue, but the Gamorrean warriors battling in the ring, I think it was something new. Like we talked about, there's old things and new things, but that was kind of a mixture of that, and it still gives us this underbelly feel, this kind of outer world feel off the main planets we've seen before. It still has this grungy feel to it, and here we are in the midst of this. Almost seems like something out of Solo. I kind of felt like a Solo vibe.
Yeah.
A little bit from there. The spectacle of watching two guards go at it with these axes or something, and it's really cool to see like more of the just different aliens and such like interacting on certain levels of like kind of where they kind of intermix, and then seeing obviously the Mandalorian into that setting. So it's interesting to see him branch out into the world.
Absolutely.
The universe, I guess.
You also get to see how one of two things regarding the Gamorrean guards. You either saw how well fed the ones at Jabba's palace are, or how malnutritioned and potentially slave-like these are, because these Gamorrean, I almost said it, guards. These Gamorreans they don't look necessarily healthy. They look very skinny and for a Gamorrean and kind of gaunt. So it definitely gives that feel. And I like that idea of, it's kind of a return to a world of early Empire or something like in Solo, where a little bit more smuggler ruled.
Well, we've got precedents for this. Gracchus the Hutt in the Star Wars comics is a very fit Hutt. He's even muscular and even has abs, which seems funny. So maybe these guards just this particular fighting. Yeah, I know. Maybe this fighting is just good for the body. I don't know. Very interesting. So, Tom, what's your next one?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the part where they well, how do I want to put this? So when it's the scene where they're on the ocean, on that barge or ship of some sort with the Aqualish, and that gave me a sense of adventure. Pretty classical adventure, where you go out into the unknown and you're kind of with these pirates or these strangers on some sort of a grand mission, and it takes you to these crazy wild places, and it really gave me a sense of what I think season 2 is going to look like. That it's going to be high seas, high adventure, across the galaxy. And so I really appreciated capturing those scenes in this trailer, because it gave me that feeling. At least it sets a tone in my eyes of what we're about to see. And I'll go back to Solo again, because that's what I was going to use here is, Solo gave us that gunslinger feel, desert, facing off against one another. This scene on the ocean, on that barge, just made me feel like this is the kind of adventure we're gonna see. So I really like that, and I like that idea with this mission that he's been given.
It opens up yet again a whole lot of different possibilities, things that we're not accustomed to, but we're very open to experiencing because of the way these stories are told. My second one isn't particularly profound or anything. It's seeing the child in snow. I thought that was adorable. I mean, the child at this point, quite honestly, could run the risk of become oversaturated with it. It's amazing. Sure. It's unique. It absolutely blew us away the first time we saw it, because we didn't know that was going to happen or that it was even a possibility. And now the child is everywhere. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The child's adorable. But seeing the child like this, and I said this last week, the idea that I'm going to get to see the child's footprints in the snow, and that wonderful, as Holly Fry coined it, turtle maneuver, where when there's things are about to go south for the villains, was just tremendous. So the child is going to be, I think more importantly than in season 1, the child is going to need to be there to give us some heart and some brevity. Or some levity, I should say, because I think this is going to go some dark places. So we're going to need the child a lot this season.
I didn't bring the child is not any of my 5, because I knew we'd probably talk about him. So I left him off my list of 5. So I'm going to take this opportunity to mention
or her.
Or her. Yep. The Mandalorian refers to the child as a he in the trailer. So I'm going to go with that until we know otherwise. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the quote is, "Wherever I go, he goes."
Oh, how did I miss that? I'm Mr. Pronoun.
Wow.
Well, yeah, no, that's okay. I listened carefully for that, because I've been doing the same thing. Is it a he? Is it a she? Is it an it? And so he uses that pronoun. So I'm sticking with it.
Wow, I can't believe no one's dissected that already.
He changes the diapers or something. So although he is 50, so the child is 50.
True.
Anyway, what I wanted to say was how much more developed the child seems in awareness of what's going on, but yet keeps the cuteness and the innocence with him. What was I going to say? There was something I was going to say about that. Oh, it was, so we hear a lot more guttural utterances of the child. In the scene that you said, the turtle shell one, you hear the, those things, and it just totally reminds me. I'm just going to tell you what it reminds me of, and I hope it doesn't ruin the child's sounds for you, but they sound like Pascal and Tangled.
No, that works.
So maybe there's some, but it worked for me in Tangled. I could get the meaning of those through the characterization, and so far in this trailer, And I don't recall getting a lot of that in season 1. It was more visual, less to hear. And so I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting note that came to mind while I was watching the trailer.
I noticed it even more than ever because when we watched it before, I was listening through my headphones, and it just picks up the monaural sound of everything, and it really amplified. And so I noticed the child's sound effects and noises much more than I think I ever have too.
Yeah, and I'll kind of shift that into my next one was wherever I go, he goes, and that was the only newest, as far as I understand, the newest dialogue that we heard, other than the guy next to him kind of leans over and says, "I know," or something like that.
We're counting on that.
We're counting on that. Thanks. But the pronoun of he goes, and I thought, oh, he's a he, right? So, or that's what he's I suppose, right? So it's interesting. But then again, maybe Yoda's back, or maybe the child is back. What are you going to see? I mean, we watched this when Dan, you texted me when this first came out and said it's live or it's available, and we threw up on the big screen TV here at home with the kids, and that was their favorite part was Baby Yoda. Much as you like to, like you said, it might be oversaturated, I think, but I don't care. I'm excited to see him and see what mannerisms he has. Get to know him more. And to that sound effect, I kind of felt like a Wall-E feel. Remember Wall-E from Pixar? If you've seen that movie,
yes.
That that up and down voice. But it's interesting because in such a dark world, you mentioned this too, Dan. Such a dark atmosphere. He does kind of shine that light. Has that childlike quality and that almost that it takes the edge off the whole. Anticipation level of going, a little laugh in the trailer there where he closes the clamshell, and obviously he's aware of what's going on. Yeah, so it's cool to see him back and tagging along, if you will. But also to that phrase, wherever I go, he goes. You also notice the Mandalorian, almost at the bounty hunter. The Mandalorian is very much intertwined with this child too. We see he's very much the protector. And won't look, he's obviously still under that guise of I'm protecting now versus I'm hunting. So kind of a shift there, I think, from first season 1, he's hunting, and this is now he's protecting. So it's interesting.
Very much so. Tom, what is your third one?
So my third one is now this is with the understanding and realization that a trailer is a trailer and it's not there to tell the whole story. But my number third that came to my mind as I was watching this are the things that are not seen. In particular, Moff Gideon and the Black Saber. No teaser about that storyline whatsoever beyond the TIE fighters taking off and the speeders with the stormtroopers, and then there's also a scene with stormtroopers and the siren and some sort of a corridor running. But besides that, we get nothing of that storyline, which is kind of what we were left cliffhanging on at the very end. And so I thought that was pretty notable to not have any image of that, as well as there's the rumored and very much so rumored for a very good reason, but no other characters really hinted at. Except the disappearing character, the disappearing female character, but no mention of any, nothing else out there to tease an Ahsoka appearance or any other Mandalorian special appearances that we've seen and read about. So I thought those were notable absences in this trailer.
Yes, I hadn't really thought about that either, but there is no Moff Gideon. Of course, like you had said, it's such a small sample size. How long is the actual one? Is it a minute and 29 seconds or something? Something to that degree. So there's just not a lot there, not a lot of time. So you have to be really judicious with what you say. So yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that one too. All right, my third one, and you had already alluded to this, Tom, but I like that we got a nautical sequence. It was very, very brief, of course, and it did remind me of Rick's in our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and the fact that we're about to do that. So again, members of Pour Over, I swear I didn't set this up to be a Coffee with Kenobi Pour Over commercial, But it's hard not to think of that one with our boys here. But the fact that we're going to get to see some stuff on some sort of an ocean type planet. I mean, maybe it's Mount Calamari. Who knows what it's going to be? But I don't ever remember seeing anything like that in a live action Star Wars. So once again, Star Wars gives me something live action that I've never seen before that I didn't know I needed. But when I saw that, I was instantly captivated because this opens up a whole world of possibility and how to tell a story in the environment and how the Mandalorian be impacted by that. I mean, there's some great stuff that can happen in the unknown of the sea. So this is going to be really, really fun.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I think I'm thinking back to, just other places I've seen water. Episode 1, obviously, them going into the underwater.
Sure.
And then most recently in The Rise of Skywalker, where they take off in the water to the Death Star remains.
But not actually floating on a boat and just sort of traversing a boat.
Right. Yeah, this is more of like you said, an adventure, or this is more of like there's a setting on the boat, like interactions and stuff. So, yeah, very cool. My second to last one.
You know what? Before we get to that, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, the three of us will share our last two on our top 5 list, come up with honorable mentions, and see what happens. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books but can't find the time? Try listening to them on audio, featuring sound effects, top-notch narrators, and music directly from the movies. Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Discover Thrawn's origins within the Chiss Ascendancy in the first title in an epic new Star Wars trilogy, beginning with Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy. Written by best-selling author Timothy Zahn and read by Mark Thompson, Thrawn Ascendancy is on sale now. And if you're looking for a full cast audio drama, don't forget to try Dr. Aphra, read by an all-star cast, including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale now. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Star Wars to listen to clips and find your next listen, or buy now wherever audiobooks are sold. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is your one-stop shop for your vacation needs and your plans to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or the cruise lines. Travel looks much different now than it did a couple of months ago, and with the opening of Walt Disney World and soon, hopefully, the opening of Disneyland, you need a place to go where you can trust, and they will help you figure out and navigate all the different circumstances and guidelines that Disney has put out for you. And I can say that we had our vacation modified, and as soon as dates were announced, MEI contacted me directly to help me reschedule, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. So if you are interested in rescheduling your vacation or want to try to plan a Walt Disney World, Disneyland vacation, or anywhere else you want to go on the planet, be sure to contact MEI and Mouse Fan Travel at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel. Their signature service and expert advice will help you maximize your vacation time and dollar, and they will help you figure out all the different changes and modifications going on at the Disney theme parks. They are amazing, and I can tell you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the peace of mind that Becky Menken and the crew at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel have given me is invaluable. If you're interested at all, again, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel. We are back, and Cory, it is back to you. We've got 2 left for the top 5 things we have noticed about the Mandalorian Season 2 teaser trailer, and really there's not really a top 5 so much as they happen to be 5 each for each of us, but there's no necessary sequential order to it. It's just a conversation, and I didn't say this at the top of the show, and even though the trailer's been out for a week, the three of us have legitimately not talked about this before, so it's a fresh sort of a look at things for all of us, including you listening. So, very good. Cory, go ahead with your number 4.
Yeah, as we talked before, the dialogue on the trailer, the armorer speaks to the Jedi. They're sorcerers. They're called Jedi. And then the Mandalorian confirms our enemies, the sorcerers. I just I kind of love that aspect. I kind of had forgotten about that from season 1. Like you said, it's a nice recap, but I love the fact that we we still are on the outer skirts. We're still far away from the goings-ons of, political agendas. These are just, I feel like these are just the outskirts, and even the lore itself is kind of like in these fables or in these handed down tales. And I think that's just really cool. It feels like it's organic. It feels like it's just and almost new in a sense. Like we're discovering it again for the second time. But also, I do forget that there's this feud there's a history of the Mandalorians, of Mandalore and the Great War and all these things. So there's some history here that we kind of, we're following this new character and his journey, but also there's a lot of history coming along with all this. And like we said, not many new characters pop up in this trailer, but I'm excited to see what will pop up. I mean, I don't want to make any crazy thoughts, but I mean, just that gets your mind thinking, right? Obviously, we're in Star Wars. There's going to be things that pop up and go, oh yeah, that's so and so, or that's who's a what. Those are technical terms, by the way. So
yes, that's
use at your own discretion.
Who's a what?
What?
I
Yeah,
like
that's
it.
candy bar as well, or whatchamacallit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I like the idea of the history, the sorcerers, the Jedi, all that stuff. So very cool.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say, when I hear sorcerers, I'm currently in the middle of the third book in the Dresden Files, and there's a moment where Harry Dresden explains that a sorcerer is like a wizard, but sorcerers are only interested in killing things. So when you said that, I thought about the notion that the Jedi have been set up as sorcerers, and how interesting. I mean, of course, it's a very separate mythology. I'm talking about the Dresden Files books by Jim Butcher. But Tom, you of course are the biggest D&D guy I know. Are sorcerers thought of as in a negative way in that mythology?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. I would always my perception is that wizards are more dangerous than a sorcerer. A sorcerer is someone who tinkers with and plays with magic and is known more to use magic in a destructive way, whereas a wizard uses magic in a more evil way. If you see that there's a difference there, it doesn't sound different, but so yeah, I mean, sorcerers are dangerous by all means, and so yeah, that's. I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. That's my number 2.
Oh, cool.
Cory. Mine is 2, and I took the quote, and it seems a little silly now that I'm putting this into the context that Dan, you said this is review, and I was looking at these quotes as something brand new. I mean, I knew I recognized them from season 8 or episode 8, but I haven't put that all together yet. And so this quote really, I went back and rewound it, make sure I heard it right. She, the armorer, says, the songs of eons past, which tells me this goes beyond, like my brain, with Mandalore goes back to the Clone Wars and to recent memory that we would know of the planet Mandalore and the Republic. But songs of eons past, which, when we're talking about songs that storytell, you're talking about traditions and generations and eons of lore telling. She says the songs of eons past tell the battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi. Okay, help me out here. When I hear something that is termed Mandalore the Great, I think of an individual, like Peter the Great, or whatever title they gave Napoleon. Was he the Great? And so I hear Mandalore the Great. I'm assuming she's talking about Mandalore the Great as the society, the Great Society. But if we're talking eons ago, are we going clear back to a formation of like songs that come from a formation or an ancient legend of Mandalore? And is this taking it back to a conflict that because we know from some of the literature we're reading now about post-Empire that Emperor Palpatine was successful in changing the public perception of Jedi to being kind of bad guys. Mm-hmm. But I feel like this precedes that propaganda. I feel like these songs of Mandalore, that the Jedi must have had a sorcerer-like evil to them at some point, or from a certain point of view.
Oh.
And so I can't even begin to tell you if we're about to get some massive lore that goes back Phantom Menace, pre-Republic.
The High Republic.
That's what I'm wondering, if we're going to get a little toe dip. I mean, it's all coming out about the same time, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, the other one, the other book's
it's
come in
close.
January. Yep, pretty close.
So, wow. I just that line, when I went back and rewound it, because I had thought when I watched season 1 that the references were to Palpatine's propaganda talking about the Jedis being bad in the Republic, but this line sends me way further back.
I love that, and I think between that and if you go back and look at the Rebels episode from season 4 where Kanan trains Sabine how to use a Darksaber, he gives history of that blade, and it may help kind of connect some dots for you, I think, as well. They're really digging deep, and we know how much Dave Filoni loves Mandalore and Mandalorian culture. So when I see here Mandalore the Great, I've always liked about Mandalore they seem to think of it and look at it as like one planet, one people, like one culture. So I think it is talking about the greatness of that civilization before the Empire really kind of messed things up. Yeah. That's good.
How about yours?
Let's see. We'll see what happens. My number 4, and I think one of you alluded to this earlier, maybe it was you, Tom, was I put X-Wing / nostalgia. Nostalgia is a tricky one for Star Wars because it can feel like pandering or recycled territory, but once again, they don't do that. In fact, when those X-Wings roar onto the screen, and they roar, they're flying with the Razor Crest, and it gives you this wonderful feeling because your worlds are colliding in this beautiful way. You see these speeder bikes doing this really, really cool move, like on a jet ski. The stormtroopers running down that hallway where it looks like, at least the camera angle makes it appear like their ship is going down. And, the Bantha and the Saiyan people, like you mentioned earlier, the Tusken. What a great thing to inject this into it. Again, it takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, maybe 6 now. I don't know how much time has passed between seasons 1 and 2. Probably not very much. But it's very exciting to me that we're able to get a little bit of nostalgia to wet our whistle, but not make it all about that.
So, Dan, you mentioned how much time has passed. We don't know that. Mm-mm. But just knowing for what we've seen, I did notice one thing. that just came to mind. You mentioned that. Carl Weathers' character, forgetting his name.
Grief Karga.
Grief Karga, thank you. He has a white beard instead of his natural black beard. So some time has passed. I don't know if that scene is connected anyway from episode 1 to episode who knows when. So there could be lots of time that passed. There could be he could have just gone and just changed up his style. So that's interesting to think that there's some idea of a little bit of time maybe has passed just since we've seen it from season 1 to season 2. So
I like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, go back
and
watch
cross
it.
my mind.
Apparently, oh gosh, I'm forgetting names now.
Cara Dune.
Cara Dune, thank you. She also has the same outfit on, which I assume she just keeps. That's her.
Well, they all sort of have their uniforms, don't they? In Star Wars, really. Besides,
that's true.
I mean, Leia and Padme were able to branch out, but us fellas, we're kind of sticklers, aren't we, for what we wear? As far as not changing, not being very open to change. At least, I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking for myself. All right, Corey, what is the last one you have on your list?
So the last one I've got is, I just have it down as Mysterious Woman. Like we mentioned before, this is a character we see in kind of the voiceover scene. Speaking of the Jedi, and she's in the crowded area as we see people cross through, and she disappears. Obviously, it's alluded to, is she a Jedi? Is she not a Jedi? I don't care at this point. I'm excited to see what might come of this character. Obviously, they center on her for some reason to get people excited. And that's what teasers do. It's called a teaser to tease you. So I hate to jump to conclusions and say this is whatchamacallit, this is so-and-ho, just in the fact that, it's easy to go there, right? It's easy to say, oh, that's probably so-and-so. Or, it's Baby Yoda's mother. I don't know. But it's the fact that, it's to grip you. It's right. They've got a minute and 30 seconds to grip you. and they don't want to lose you to something else, your next Fortnite win. So I want to make sure that I'm excited to see this new character. I don't know who this is. I'm excited that they centered on someone brand new we never seen before. Similar to what they did with the season 1, we had brand new characters. So I'm excited to see new characters, and obviously this one looks very mysterious. And I guess that's all I got to say about it.
I like it, and thank you for not breaking our rules, or our guidelines, I should say. They're not rules. We don't want to speculate because we want to deal with what is, and then to me it sort of eliminates the possibility of disappointment and just allows for it to just kind of come to us organically. Well, not that it's bad to speculate, but that's just sort of...
It's fun to speculate, and that's what I think the internet's known for. But here's the thing that I think people get wrong about speculation, and even in Star Wars and in Marvel movies, anything really, is the fact that these writers and these creators have built a story and characters together, right? They've built moments, they've built scenes, they've built dialogue for, who knows, years on time maybe. And they give it to us as a gift as viewers. And there's a reason they pull it off in a certain way. There's a reason they made this into a TV show, visually appealing, things to gander over and just behold. And that's how they've built this. And I think the fact that people get wrong is they try to jump ahead in the book, if you will, and see the ending or see what the big surprise be, the biggest reveal, and not forget the fact that there's something building up, there's momentum building here, and that's what you should be excited for. What the possibilities of what happens in the unknown. That's the reason they wrote it this way. They're not going to, if they show us everything we want to see in this trailer, we wouldn't watch this show. It's the fact that we want to be surprised, and I think it was kind of lost in our pop culture nowadays in the sense of we want to get to the end so quickly. Let's saturate on this. Let's enjoy it for what it is and what the creators have done and taken the time to entertain us with.
Amen, and hear, and because when it is over, all we'll be doing is pining for it to return, like we do with Rebels and Clone Wars. So let's just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
And they were so masterful with that in season 1 by the massive reveal of a child.
Yeah.
In episode number 1, nobody had any inkling of that. So I just go back and I think about they can completely surprise us, and so yeah, that's the fun of it. So my number 1, is that where we're headed, or my last?
Yes.
My last thought that comes when I watch this is actually my very first thought when I saw this. And Dan, you were there when I first saw this, right. And it's that opening scene. And it feels like such a throwback, and it's sort of a tip of the hat to the feature films. You start with a planet, and you hear a ship that's approaching from below, above, behind you, and it's the Razor Crest. And Dan, do you remember? I pumped my fists. I was like, "Oh, there it is!" And then the shock of something's not right. I think I said something along the lines of, "Whoa, that doesn't look good," as you notice that it's a little off kilter and one of the engines is sparking, and then you see the back part hanging open, hanging agape, and you're like, this doesn't feel good. And I sat there. So as I watched it the next time and the next time and the next time, and I saw that, I kept thinking, they being the directors of the writers of Star Wars. And I do not mean to dredge up an old conversation of ours. Let's let it sort of float under the radar right now. But they do such a masterful job of taking inanimate objects like a ship and making you fall in love with it. And when I saw the Razor Crest, I was like, yeah, there he is. Now, wait, I just used a pronoun to describe the ship. And I just thought, I love this ship. And I was so torn to see it in such crummy condition. I mean, we've been there. The Jawas trashed the thing, and he rebuilt it. And we saw all that went into that. And now here it is again, floating above. And later on in the trailer, we see the Razor Crest. And I think it's the Razor Crest. It's something coming out of an atmosphere on fire. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it makes me it just kind of like the adventure on the ship with the Aqualish. I look at this Razor Crest and I think this is defining this, like for me as a teaser, this is kind of defining what I should be expecting coming forward. It's going to be typical Mandalorian. He's not going to come in and walk away unscathed, shiny armor, doing this Skywalker thing on his shoulder. He's going to get beat up. He's going to get hit. He's going to find himself in peril. And the ship sets it all up for us. I don't know. That's what I took from that opening scene. I was so happy to see it and then so shocked and almost hurt at the shape it was in.
It was fun to get to experience those reactions with you because it is very haunting, isn't it? With it open. And Mason said the same thing. Daddy, what's wrong? And all I could think, honestly, the second time I watched it was, I got to finish that Lego.
Does yours look like that, kind of falling apart?
It's getting better, but oh boy, did we hit a snag today. Oh boy. Yes. Very good. That's great. My last one is The Move. It's the move when, we talked earlier about, he goes wherever I go, and the criminal or element says, yeah, we know. And then Baby Yoda does his little tuck and roll, so to speak. And then we get out the whistling birds, and boom, it goes dark. You hear these great action kung fu noises, and this is the way. And then I'm reminded beautifully of how much of a bad you-know-what Din Djarin the Mandalorian is, and to think that I'm going to get to experience in a couple of weeks seeing him fight, seeing him, as you said, now he's a protector, which means he's going to be even more dangerous to people who oppose him. And I am just thrilled to see some great, solid Star Wars action. And that just was a beautiful hint of what we're going to get to see.
Awesome.
I love it. I as a big Mandalorian fan, this was just something we needed. I know sports is kind of coming back. I know this quarantine is kind of getting people down. And this is what we need. We need some new content and out there. We missed summer movies. And I'm ready for this. I'm excited. I think honorable mention wise, I was just excited to see this with my kids. We watched it on the big screen, like I said, and they're pumped. That it's not just like me as a Star Wars fan getting pumped with you guys, but it's like a whole family affair. Like in the sense of like, oh, we're gonna watch this every Friday. We're gonna make note to sit down as a family and enjoy it. My daughter got so excited. She's like, I hope there's another Quill character because you were like Quill from season 1. So I mean, it's just like those little moments of they are growing up with this too, and that's what's exciting too. They're getting to know a brand new part of Star Wars that we didn't grow up with as fans, and it's exciting to see them taking this new content and get the new characters in their own way, and it's just really enjoyable. I think it's exciting to see it again. I'm excited they're coming out episodically every Friday. It feels like you can go kind of watch one and kind of think about it for the week and just kind of ruminate and think about it and take it in, because like every episode always had like you leaving you hanging like, oh, what's gonna happen next? And so it's just I'm excited to get back on the Star Wars horse and ride in the sunset.
Absolutely. Tom, any last minute thoughts on this?
Yep. The thing I was going to say is I am hats off to Disney and Disney Plus and Lucasfilm for continuing the culture of episodic serial. It does not do it justice when you release like a whole season at once and you don't have the time to properly dissect, process what you just saw, because The Mandalorian, let's be honest about it, it packs a punch, no pun intended, but there's a lot that happens in every single episode. I mean, we're telling a full story in 35 minute pieces, and so much happens, and planet jumping and all of that. So I'm so thankful that they have made that decision to stick with it. They did it with season 7 of Clone Wars. They're doing it again for The Mandalorian. So as a fan, as someone who loves this story, I'm so thankful for that. And Cory, I just want to say, I absolutely love Star Wars. Everyone knows that. And I love all these things. And I say I love The Mandalorian. But every time I'm in the same room as you and we're talking about The Mandalorian, I cannot possibly match your level of love for a story as this. I am so excited to talk about The Mandalorian with you this season at some point here and there when we see each other, because you take it to a new level. This is your story, my friend. And so I can't wait to hear how your thoughts are on it.
Well, you are the biggest Mando fan I know, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's fun because it feels fresh to me, I guess, and it still feels fresh. And I think that's what brings so much to Star Wars. I think I'm excited to talk more with you guys about this. Love to come back on and do this all again for every episode.
I love it. Well, we'll certainly look at your resume, and I'll have someone get back with you.
Oh gosh, I hope I got my contacts down. My references are pretty good.
They're
Some guy
tight.
named Lucas, first name George, something like that.
I like it.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is
That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-friendly, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk about some Star Wars. It is a lot of fun, and you'll make some new friends as well as catch up with longtime friends along the way. I also want to thank all of the new and longtime members of the CWK Alliance and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement. A big thank you to our CWK Alliance members, Mary Purdue, Terrence King, Smooth Rivera, Dan Capurso, Aaron, Jim Tallman, J.C. Poe, Ed Kimoto, Greg McLaughlin, Robert Avila, Dustin Mills, Yancey Evans, Chelsea Sansbury, Connie Shee, Tyler Pompa, Hannah, Alex Procasio, Ian Thompson, David Nicely, Simbot Deftradarian, Christine Turk, Kurt McKellen, Ross Halliban, Dan Ream, Colby Mead, Alexander Moylan, Frank Mulder, Blake Weaver, Jim Capron, Chris Metz, LJ Souter, Aaron Harris, Chris Skavarka, Jeff Ellis, Daz Davies, Susan Gray, Thea Selby, Christian Dale, Brian McKinney, Jason Hall, Jared Cantor, Eric Struthers, Mark Suter, Angela Sauce, and Dennis Keithley. If you want to join the CWK Alliance, be sure to go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/CWK Alliance and sign up today. Not only will you help out Coffee with Kenobi, but you also get access to CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Cory Clubb. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, live video, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, please feel free to reach out to me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com, and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zer, MRZEHR. There are also a lot of ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, and check us out on Pinterest. You can find me twice a month on the podcast Looking at Lucasfilm, part of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, and you can find my writing on CWK's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I'm an official blogger there, as well as on IGN, where I contribute articles on Star Wars, as well as other popular culture topics. And if you're considering starting a podcast or a blog, Let me know how I can help you get started and help you make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com where we can get the process started. I'm also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. You can take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our CWK sponsors, especially MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere on the planet. Please go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. And don't forget to pre-order my brand new book that I wrote alongside Pablo Hidalgo and Cole Horton, the Star Wars book published by DK. Be sure to pre-order your copy of the Star Wars book today. I can't wait to share it with each and every one of you. If you like the show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the Force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word. Go to iTunes and search Coffee with Kenobi and you'll see the show there. My circle of friends has grown so much because of this podcast and each and every one of you, and it means so much to me that we have such a wonderful Star Wars community. Thank you all so much for all you do. Well, of course, there's nothing quite like having the Dream Team back on the show, so it's great to share the mic with the two of you. And of course, if you like what you're hearing, and longtime listeners of the show, of course, know how awesome Tom and Cory are, you can certainly become a member of the CWK Alliance. And one of the perks of joining the CWK Alliance is you get weekly access to our exclusive CWK pour over. It's going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of that, we're going to go record our next one. But before we do, gentlemen, please let everybody know where they can reach out to you. They want to ask you a question, just say hello. Continue that conversation. Tom, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Draftline, DRAFTLINE. Or you can drop me an email. Let me know what your thoughts are about The Mandalorian Season 2. TomG@coffeewithkenobi.com.
And Cory, what about you?
Yeah, if you are big as a Star Wars Mandalorian fan as me, hit me up on Twitter at Cory Clubb. Or if you have a long drawn-out idea that you're making plans to binge watch all the episode or series 1, and I want to know what your thoughts are, feel free to send me a lengthy email at coryc@coffeewithkenobi.com.
Another incredibly fun show with Tom Gross and Cory Clubb. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me this week on Coffee with Kenobi, looking at the Season 2 trailer of The Mandalorian. And a big thank you to everybody who supported the CWK Alliance by picking up those trucker hats. I'm sure you've noticed on social media that they have started shipping, and I can't wait to see all your pictures. If you got one of those hats, be sure to tag us on Twitter or go to the CWK Cafe, our Facebook group, and show us the hats with you wearing them. I think that's super fun. Actually, at the time of this recording, I haven't even gotten mine yet, so I can't wait to do that, and believe me, I will do the same. I hope everybody has a great week and weekend, and be sure to join us this week on Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for Facebook Live. This week we will be talking about our top 5 favorite Luke Skywalker moments, and there are plenty to choose from, both in the films, comic books, novels, all kinds of great stuff. Have a wonderful week and weekend, everybody, and remember, this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Discover Thrawn's origins within the Chiss Ascendancy in the first title in an epic new Star Wars trilogy, beginning with Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy. Written by best-selling author Timothy Zahn and read by Mark Thompson, Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy is on sale now wherever audiobooks are sold.